Hello, Xylophoney here, and welcome to How to Pixelmon, your instructional Pixelmon guide. So, last time we talked, we went over how to breed Pokemon, and I showed you guys my extensive breeding setup over here, where you get different setups for different types of Pokemon, and those can all get you different kinds of eggs and blah 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 blah. But now, we're going to go right into the thick of it. We're going to go into some advanced breeding stuff, which is what pretty much is IV breeding. Now, just a warning before we really get into this, if your server that you're working on does not have the EVs and IVs mods, so you can check your Pokemon's EVs and IVs, this is pretty much pointless to work with because you're not really going to be able to look at what you're doing. And also, before you get into it, be warned, it can take a lot of time, but it can also be a lot of fun. So we'll just get right into it, explaining what IVs are. They're pretty much individual values that each Pokemon is given just when they spawn, and it's pretty much just determines some base stats they have that you can't really have any control over. So we're going to take an example here, IVs 1, and this is my Metagross. Now he actually is blessed with some very good IVs. He was found in the wild, and he has 30 HP, 25 attack, 29 defense, and so on. That ends up being 82% in total. It can hit 186 overall. You're never going to find something like that in the wild, though. Pretty much the max any of these can hit is 31. So 30 is pretty close for Metagross, because he definitely wants to be a little bit tanky, and 25 attack to back that up is good. The only weaker stat he has there is speed, which Metagross wouldn't really be using too much of anyway. We got some other examples of Pokemon found in the wild. There's IVs 2 for my Haunter. He is also a pretty good one, being a shiny. It's definitely a good thing to have good IVs. He's a little lacking on special attack, which is a shame, but he makes up for it with 30 speed. Now we're also going to look at another shiny, the Spinarak here. It has 1 speed IV and nothing that's really over 20. So when it comes down to it, when you have a shiny Pokemon, just don't worry about the IVs too much. If you want to use the shiny, use the shiny. When you're using a shiny, it's not really about if you can make it the best possible Pokemon it is. It's not going to be, but it's just a question if you like it or not. Now we're going to look at a couple of these that I actually did some breeding with to make them really good. So this Kadabra here, IVs 4, is pretty good. Now we see it has HP 21, attack and defense are low, but on a Kadabra or an Alakazam, what you really want is the special attack and speed, which are both maxed out at 31. Now the way you would do this with breeding is you get one Kadabra or one Abra with a speed stat of 31 and one with a special attack stat of 31. You put those together with the right power items here, and you can actually get it very easily. So with the one that has the 31 speed on it, you throw the power anklet on it. With the one that has 31 special attack, you throw a power lens on it. And if you can actually get 2 with 31s, then it's a very easy way to set that up. So you can definitely get an excellent Pokemon through that. Now keep in mind, that doesn't mean you're going to get the right nature that you want. You're actually going to have to do some trial and error, or of course use the Everstone tactic we talked about last episode to get that all set up. But this Kadabra overall is exactly what I want. He has the right stats, he's timid, and he's microscopic to boot. So we'll just show him off real quick. Yeah. And this one was actually bred for me by a friend. He's so nice and tiny, we haven't evolved him yet, but we will shortly. Now we're going to get into the dark side of breeding, the very extensive side of it. IVs 5. This is our Staraptor. It has 31 health, 31 attack, 31 defense, 9 special attack, 31 special defense, and 31 speed. Now when it comes down to this one, this is what we consider a perfect Staraptor, because you're not going to want any special attacks on it anyway, so it doesn't matter what its special attack IVs are. But all of the other stats are perfect, so there cannot physically be a better statted Staraptor than this one. And when it comes down to nature, of course, you're just going to want to use the nature that you prefer. But we're going to go into how you can actually get a incredible Pokemon like this later on. Now finally, we're going to show the best possible thing you can get from breeding, which is the 6 IV Pokemon. Completely flawless in every way. This one actually has a nature that is not fully preferred, but it's a good nature for a Miltank, so definitely a lucky catch when it comes down to breeding. But that's all. That'll take a lot of time for you to do, so we'll go over some of the specifics of that in a moment. Now, just to put this in perspective, the reason you'd want to breed is because it's very hard to find good ones in the wild. The Metagross was very lucky, the Haunter was pretty above average, and the Spinarak was pretty below average. Now, when it comes down to it, you can go in the wild and catch Pokemon, and you can probably get one with IVs as good as a Metagross. But you might want to get something better. I would definitely suggest trying to get yourself something as good as this Kadabra with the 231s that you really specifically want. But just to put in perspective, to find a Pokemon in the wild with the one IV that you want, say you want a Speed 31, that is just going to be a 1 in 31 chance because their Speed IVs are completely random between 1 and 31. If you want to find a Kadabra like this that has Speed and Special Attack maxed out in the wild to begin with, well, then it's going to be a 1 in 961 chance. So it's going to be very difficult to find the right one if you just run into the wild and try to find one. Now, if you want to go crazy and find one of these Miltanks in the wild, go ahead, have a good time, because it's going to be a 1 in 887 million chance for that to happen. That's nearly 1 in a billion to find a 6 IV Pokemon in the wild. And that's not even thinking about the nature. Add in the nature, and let me just do some quick math here. 887 times, what are there, 25 natures or so? Yeah, so that's a very big number. I'm just gonna leave that to your, oh my god, I'm gonna leave that to your imagination. It's 24 billion or so, 1 in 24 billion if you want to get a 6 IV of the right nature in the wild. So that's just plain not going to happen. You can get very lucky and get a 2 IV in the wild, though. That is definitely possible, but the 1 IVs are the ones you're going to want to catch, so you can use the power items and get those all set up. Now, we did go over how to get a very nice 2 IV Pokemon by putting a, for the Kadabra's example, we want to put a Speed Kadabra with a Special Attack Kadabra, and that'll get us the right one. But now, we're going to go over trying to get something even better. So let me just grab some new Pokemon real quick. We'll be right back. Alright, now we have some of these Aerodactyls to go over how you can actually end up getting some of the 5 and 6 IVs that we talked about. But once again, it's very time extensive. It takes a lot of trial and error. So just be ready for what you're walking into here. So pretty much what it takes is you're going to start out with the first system. You want to get a 2 IV Pokemon. So here we have an Aerodactyl with some health and some speed. Definitely, two good things for an Aerodactyl. Now, of course, you want the speed and attack, but that'll all come eventually. Now, pretty much what you want to end up doing is put that Aerodactyl with an Aerodactyl that's also another 2 IV Aerodactyl, or put it together with one that has other stats that you need, such as the attack and the defense and the special defense. Then it'll have a chance of carrying the stats over. But one of the ways of course, getting another 31 when it comes down to like Aerodactyls, when you're only going to be able to breed to get them, then you start breeding them, you get the 2 IV together, then you breed that and another 2 IV together, and you keep breeding those together with the initial system until you get a 3rd IV on it. And once you breed those two IVs together, the chance for a 3rd IV is 1 in 31. So it's going to take a lot of trial and error to get there, and that's only the beginning. Then, simple as that, you take a 2 IV, put it together with a 3 IV, and your chances get a little bit better. Say you get one with some of the separate stats that you want. See, this one is a 3 IV with attack, defense, and special defense, and this 2 IV has HP and speed. So that's actually 5 of the ones that you want, pretty much all of the ones you want, all going across the board there if you can actually manage to get that. What you're going to want to do now that you have like at least 3 or 4 that you want to actually carry over, I'd say if you have 4 IVs that you want to carry over, this is now the time to start applying Destiny Knots. Now, Destiny Knots are the key to breeding anything higher than a 3 IV. You're going to want to put that on one of them, and then on the other one, say this one is the one we want the speed to carry over, so we're going to put the speed item on him, breed those together, and then that'll actually carry 5 of the IVs over instead of the natural 3. Now, when it carries the 5 over, it's not the 5 that are on the Pokemon you put the Destiny Knot on. It's 5 randomly between both of them. So it can be, looking at this, it can be the speed, the attack, anything that can randomly carry over. In worst case scenario, on this one, it could end up carrying over the special attack, the special defense, and the attack, which are all stats that you don't want. So you're going to want to keep trying this until you end up getting something better. Now eventually you do this enough and you're going to get a Pokemon that is 4 IV. So this one, for example, has HP, attack, special defense, and speed. Now that's a decent enough spot to stop, because then you'll shortly have all the stats that you really wanted to focus on, and have some decent other stats as well. But you can keep on going that farther. Of course, if you put a 3 IV with a 4 IV, that'll increase your chances of getting a 5 IV even more. Pretty much as the better the ones are that you put together, the better your chances are of getting something extravagant. So if you get 2 4 IVs, put those together enough times with the Destiny Knot. If you're working with anything like 2 3 IVs or 4 IVs or higher, definitely always use a Destiny Knot, because you want as many things to carry over as possible. When you have more good to carry over than bad, always use a Destiny Knot. So you get that, and then you can eventually breed together, have a 5 IV Pokemon. So this is a very good one, of course. This doesn't mean the nature is going to be good. As you can see, this one's a bashful one. But the higher the IVs on the Pokemon that you want are, rather the more of them that are 31 you want are, the better your chances of getting more of them to carry over there is. So say if I use this 5 IV and I assume, this 4 IV, when they breed together, if it does carry over one of their health stats, either one of them will be a 31, either one of the attacks will be a 31, same with the special defense and the speed. Now what in this case I'd want to do is I'd want to put the Destiny Knot on the 4 IV, and actually, put the Destiny Knot on the 4 IV, and then on this one I'd actually want to use the Power Belt, because the 4 IV here is missing defense, but the 5 IV has that defense to carry over. So that'll mean even though 5 IVs randomly carry over from the Destiny Knot, the defense will always carry over, so that just increases your chances even more. When it comes down to breeding them together, you just want to increase your chances as much as possible. Even if you have 2 5 IVs and you're putting them together doing everything right, it's still about a 1 in 90 something chance that you're going to get the 6 IV that you want. It's very difficult to get this going. This is why I have so many things set up, just because it's trial and error, and the more trials I have, the more chances I have of getting something good. But that's pretty much what it takes. So just start putting better ones together. Always switch them out when you get better ones. Do as many as you can if you are up for the challenge, and go for it. But once again, I definitely advise you to try to get some of the 2 IV ones that we mentioned, because those are definitely a huge boost. Honestly, when it comes down to it, IV breeding only changes a stat by 31 points, and on this server, for example, when you go up to 75, it's only going to change 23 of those points. So when it comes to EV training, it'll change a lot more, and the nature will change a lot as well. So it's just one of the things that can make your Pokemon excellent. So if you do want to breed a 2 IV Pokemon, go ahead, it'll make it better. If you want to breed a 6 IV Pokemon, it'll make it probably the best it can possibly be. But of course, it's all about choosing your Pokemon to have fun with them and destroying all your competition. Well, if you IV breed, you'll probably end up doing that. But thank you guys for watching. If you have enjoyed this, definitely leave a like on the video. Let me know if you need anything gone over. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. And let me know if you start IV breeding and have fun with it, because I surprisingly have had a lot of fun with it. I'm glad I could share this with you guys, but I'll see you next time. Goodbye.